Welcome to the Nerd Party.
A Doctor Who podcast. I'm Jessica Nunn.
And I'm her husband and co-host, Philip Gilfus. Well, we've returned from vacation, which gave us an opportunity to get involved in some Doctor Who that we haven't done in a while.
Oh, yes.
Because with the COVID for the past year, we don't usually go on any long car trips anymore.
Right. I mean, let's not say it like it's now we're never doing it again. We're just currently not very often going on long car trips. So,
but we did recently when we went to the beach.
We did go to the beach, and that's about 3.5 hours drive, so plenty of time for a box set.
That's right. So we're going to talk about another Big Finish production, and keeping with our order, not about the Eighth Doctor, but another series that we've been listening to, and that's The Diary of River Song.
Hooray!
We'll be talking about Series 4, which was released September 2018, which, when I was looking this up, we're halfway through. There have been 8 series at this point.
Okay.
So, if you like it, there's more of it.
Well, there you go.
And if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. So,
how can you not like River Song?
Well, I was going to ask, this is our 4th one, which we'll get into, but the other 3, not that I'm asking you to remember all of them at once.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
But what have you thought about them so far? If it helps you remember, they sort of are doing the backwards count of Doctors. I think they started with 8, and then they had a 7, and they had a 6,
vaguely.
and then they had a 5.
Yeah, I mean, I like River Song, so I'm going to enjoy it.
Do you like that they've had this sort of serialization in each box set, that it's not just episodics?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Although it takes me a little bit of time to remember that, particularly with this one. I was sort of toot along in episode 3 or whatever, and then I was like, oh, we're still on these guys. Oh, the demon guys.
And for our Inside the TARDIS Library segment, we're going to talk about something that we actually watched several weeks ago, but we didn't talk about it, so we're going to talk about it now.
I mean, we talked about it amongst ourselves. It wasn't like the show ended and we sat in silence for some time.
That's actually what we normally do for most of these things.
A little bit of awkward silence. We save it up for the podcast.
And then we just look at the cat for a while.
Don't speak to each other again.
But yeah, we'll be talking about Antigone, the National Theatre production that starred, among others, Christopher Eccleston and Jodie Whittaker.
And?
Well, we'll get to it. Okay. I mean, in the chorus, very important role, but I wouldn't say starring.
Yeah.
But let's get into it. So like I said, we're going to talk about Series 4, and I thought, I don't know, you can change this if you want. I thought for the sake of discussion, since we listened to 2 episodes going, and then listened to 2 episodes coming back, I thought we sort of split it up in discussion between each of the 2 parts. Or,
okay.
2 episodes, and we'll have a 2-second intermission, I guess. I don't know. But the 2 episodes we listened to in one sitting, or car ride as it were Time in a Bottle by Emma Reeves and Matt Fitton, and then Kings of Infinite Space by Donald McLeary. So, you want to read those 2 summaries?
I will. So, Time in a Bottle. River is recruited by a rival to explore a star system where time no longer exists. Professor Jemima Still has picked up a signal from an impossible source and takes an expert team to investigate, but their mission is about to unleash hell upon the universe. ... And then Kings of Infinite Space. With the Discordia on their tail, River and her friends run for their lives across time and space. But when your opponent can twist cause and effect to ensure victory at every turn, then escape may well be impossible.
So how'd you like the setup for this story of, River Song recruited for a mission and, gets her new companions?
I liked that. I liked the first one. It was a little bit, because they did a little bit of time jumping, didn't they? because the demon would show up and we hadn't gotten to that part yet, kind of stuff. But I thought it was an interesting premise. I liked the idea of this is how River lives her life, you know, taking on projects and things like that. And she talks about her fee, and I thought it was interesting that she was with a rival from university, and, you know, I thought it was set up very nicely and introduced to some interesting characters.
You know, we don't often get the sort of academic side of River's song. I mean, she is a doctor of archaeology, professor, or if you will. And so, yeah, it was kind of funny that, you know, she has a fellow, you know, doctorate classmate who they have different teaching methods, and she sort of looks down and all that stuff. So it was very interesting.
Well, and they fought over a boy.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, I don't know if River fought over it.
Well, yes, that is true. River Song had a date with a boy, and it was just one date, and it was a boy that Jemima really fancied, and so they fell out, and River was wildly indifferent, and Jemima married him.
That's right.
So there you go.
So what do you think of sort of we get these different alien species? So actually I forget what they're all called.
The types of,
Yeah, there's Gamma Ray is not her name, but that's how it's spelled. Gamma, I think. Anyway,
Gamora?
Yeah, I think they made jokes about how that it took a while for the cast to figure out how to pronounce it. But I guess she was like an insect race, right?
Yes, yeah.
Ant or something like that. Anyway.
They mentioned that in the extras, but I don't know necessarily that I got that
in your
specifically in my head. Yeah,
I mean, sort of, you know, the queen, you know, in the story,
yes,
she goes to her home hive or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. And then you had sort of I don't know. I was picturing him more of a robot, but I think he's supposed to be more cyborgy. I don't even know what he's called. Not BattleBot, because that's a different kind of thing. But anyway, the Warborg. Is that what they called it? Anyway, I think that's what they called it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I liked him a lot.
Spod,
yeah, Spod.
Whatever his name was.
He was quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that said, I liked Gamora.
Mm-hmm.
Gamora. I feel like it was similar to Gamora. And I kept thinking
Guardians,
that. Yeah. So Gamora is what we're going with.
Sure.
I liked the idea of River traveling with companions, and so I was sad that they didn't travel with her for very long.
No. And what did you sort of think of the introduction of the bad guy, or bad guys, the Discordia, and then I guess specifically was Malak, whatever his name was? Melek, that's it, yeah.
Melek. Yeah, that was an interesting twist.
Mm-hmm.
To things. Again, I didn't get at the time that they had frozen, like the whole we've frozen time, but we can also go back in time. All of that was a little bit.
And I actually forget, and I'm sure that was explained, I just forget. Like, I forget how, you know, they traveled to this place where time had been taken out. I don't know.
Removed, and so everybody was just sort of
frozen. And you know, River Song basically helps Jemima with like creating a time bubble, for lack of a better word, so they could travel and into this place and have actual time. But I forget how it happened. I mean, I assume it was something with a Discordia or something, but I don't remember why time got sucked out of that place. I can't remember. But
and they go because Jemima has received these readings. Which seem to suggest that it's the doctor asking for help. And so that is what piques River Song's interest in this.
No, but it's all deception. And I think this first episode could be, I mean, it isn't, but it could almost be a standalone. Because there's actually a lot in it for just one episode. Because you have the setup, and then you have the travel to the hive, you get all the hive stuff, and then they find the ship where Malak is, and then you have that back and forth between, Jemima's, she's the villain, it turns out maybe, and then no, Malak's the villain, and then he reveals that he's secretly the Discordia, and then, it's all a trick or something, and then, now they've awakened everything and all bad stuff, and so it was pretty good for all that.
Yes.
The second one, I really didn't like. I don't know how you thought. To me, it was just sort of like, this is when River's basically being chased and using her vortex manipulator. It just seemed like, she'd press the vortex, and then they would arrive. They'd have, they would establish, or they'd encounter some random character in wherever place they landed, and then the Discordia would show up, kill that person, and then and then they've made someone else, and then Discordia showed up and they killed that character.
First of all, a lot of people died.
Yeah.
Like whole planets. They were kind of wiping out whole planets.
Mm-hmm.
And that I wasn't crazy about. I liked a little bit the Robot River.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that was set up at the beginning of this episode 2, right?
And so that was interesting, but then it was frustrating because the Robot River kept telling the Discordia where they were, and everybody was getting sick, and seriously, everybody died.
I know, yeah.
It's just, it's an interesting sort of snippet of, oh, here's this species, and oh, here's this species, and oh, here's this rat guy, and
oh yeah, yeah.
And it was also, I found it frustrating because even when they thought they were safe, even just for a minute, they weren't. Like, they run into the rat guy, and the rat guy's like, oh, come on, I'll help you. And they're like, oh, we can take a break for just a minute. But turns out the rat guy wanted to eat them.
That's right.
And then the Discordia show, it just feels like they could not catch a frickin' break. They land on the water park.
That's true. Yep,
planet, and
or a planet that just has water parks.
Yeah. Yep. And the tour guide's there, the Australian guy, and then the Discordia show back up. They just don't. There's no chance to breathe, I guess, which is part of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, from a story or from a writer's standpoint, I guess it was fun to create a bunch of different characters and have them make an impact in 3 pages or 2 pages or whatever. But it just as an audience, it's just exhausting. I'm like, there's nothing going on in this episode. Plot wise, there's nothing going on except everyone dying.
It was the what is it, the 4th episode or the 5th episode of all the 6 series just has to sort of, it established the fact that the Discordia could go back in time and change things. It established them as world killers. All of those things needed to happen. We needed to know that before we could move to the other one. So let's move to the other one.
Yeah. So I don't know. Did you when we arrived to our destination? I don't know what were you thinking would happen in the next 2 episodes, or did you?
No idea.
No idea.
No idea. I was really glad I was at the beach.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't know. You probably didn't think about or even see the cover, knowing that there would be another Doctor showing up.
Correct.
Yeah. So then we go into sort of the next 2 episodes. We have Who Done It, also by Matt Fitton, and then Someone I Once Knew by John Dorney. So would you like to synopsize those 2?
Yes, please. Who Done It? Melody Malone finds herself in a castle with an assortment of strange companions. But guests are being murdered one by one. Time is running out for a mystery to be solved. And Franz Kafka is hiding something in the attic. And Someone I Once Knew. River has tried in vain to keep the Discordia away from the Doctor. Now, as devils run riot through universal space-time, her own past with her husband is being rewritten. There is one last hope for the universe, a love story, but one that must find an ending.
The whodunit, for me, like with the second episode that we talked, everything's Jude, chase. It kind of gets a little mixed up in your head.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I clearly understood all the characters and all that. I think with whodunit, what they were doing was interesting, but I couldn't keep all the characters straight. Like, okay, I knew the dog. There's the dog. I got the dog. I knew there was the highly crazy French accent guy who's supposed to be Poirot. I got it. I got that one. And other than that, I'm like, there's another guy, there's a woman, one with a British accent, and one who's a British person doing an American accent.
I didn't feel the need to keep the characters in my head. I thought this was cute. I enjoyed it. What I didn't understand was why she did it. And they explain it.
Yeah.
And I still don't understand why she did it.
Yeah. And then you have France Kafka.
Franz.
Well, they keep saying France. And I'm like, it's Franz, I believe is how you would say it. That A is doing a lot of work. But, because I really thought his name was France, because I didn't know it was Kafka for a little bit. And the accent's weird too. But anyway, all that said. Yeah, I mean, I get that she's trying to hide. But then they tried to convolute that even more. And I'm like, you lost me. Psychic, TARDIS. Because then it not that I didn't understand, but it lost me a little bit because they were kind of doing flashbacks at the end, I guess. Explaining, like,
yes,
and it kind of got muddled.
And then forwards, and because Kafka was there with her, but he was also in the bed dying, and that was all weird. Interesting though, this one got stuck in my head because the premise was that they'd all been invited to solve this murder, and the winner gets the manor.
Yes.
The person who solves it gets the manor house. Mm-hmm. And so then, a couple of nights ago, I dreamt that you and I were getting married again.
Okay.
And we were doing it at a manor house, and neither one of us was particularly happy.
Right, sounds right.
Which, all tracks so far. It was like an autobiography dream. But we were going to get the manor, and we were being shown around the manor, and I was like, oh, look at those ceiling beams. And so it ended up in my head.
And they're like, that's a conservatory. I'm like, Trek room?
And then at some point I left for a while and came back, and then I couldn't find you, and you had a whole bunch of relatives there, and none of them liked me very much. So really, it was a lot like our wedding.
Yeah, a lot like,
yeah.
So,
country house.
What did you think of? Because again, it doesn't really mean much to me. What did you think of the Kafka connection?
Yeah, it was fine.
I don't think I like many people. I don't know if we read the whole thing. I remember reading a bit of the Metamorphosis in high school. Is it like really short? Is it a short story?
It's relatively short.
Maybe we read the whole thing. I don't know. It just seems like it was just a couple pages in a literature book.
Yeah.
In your a textbook. So I don't know. But I mean, I am familiar with it, but I mean, I forget how it ends.
Well,
but,
and then
the trial, which I'm not familiar with at all.
Yeah. It was. I don't know if that was included because the writer was feeling particularly clever.
I gotta write the story. What's on my bookshelf here?
Or if he was trying to work a little bit absurdist, you know, if the story itself was absurdist, and so surreal. So referring back to Kafka, and okay, maybe, yeah.
Because I like, it's very Doctor Who to have the historical figure be the companion. So, I mean, I like that. But it was still... Because, I guess I'm complaining when I say this, but I don't mean to. Because it's such a mystery, you don't really get to spend time with him. Because you're like, is it him? Is it not him? Is he real? Is he not real? What's real? What's not real?
Some people could see him and some people couldn't. But you don't find that out until later on. Yeah.
And then I was also trying to figure out who everyone was supposed to be. Because I was okay, the dog's Scooby-Doo. And then the guy's Poirot. I don't know who the other people are supposed to be.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
If they're supposed to be anyone at all. But anyway. But I did like the Melody Malone connection. They don't pull that one out very often.
No, I agree. I liked that too. So, yeah.
Yeah, so it was tough to keep track. Because then the answer is like, it's all just a TARDIS psychedelic mind. And I'm like, okay, so it doesn't really matter who... Like, the mystery doesn't matter. I mean, that's basically the answer,
yes.
right?
Correct.
Correct. Like, well, that was a waste of time, I guess.
Yeah. And honestly, with these audiobooks, I tend to sort of have to let them wash over me. Mm-hmm. If I get too caught up in what I don't understand or what I'm not picturing well, it's just going to get muddled for me.
Because it's like the two ladies, or the couple got
run
away.
Off together.
It's like, they're free. I'm like, well, that's nice. But I'm like, wait, none of this was real. Why does it matter? I don't...
Because they were real to themselves. And so that made them real. Yeah, it gets a little, gets a little Kafka-esque.
To me, that lost me a little. I mean, I don't know. Maybe my artsy-fartiness has a limit. But I'm like, yes, well, it's real, and characters can be real too. I'm like, no, they're not, though. I get it, like, from a writing standpoint, but it seems like, but they have belief in that. No, they're not real.
Then we cross into Peter Pan, and yeah.
I get what you're trying to do, but too much.
Yeah, it was a lot, but I enjoyed that one.
And then we get the Doctor.
Yes.
The definite optical, you might say.
Yep, and a little bit of Dickens.
Yeah. So what'd you think of having Tom Baker is the Doctor?
Yeah, and again, it started off confusing because he's like, of course I know who you are, River Song, and we've spent all this time together, and remember that time with Unit? And she doesn't remember any of it, and I'm like, well, that's not at all canon, stop that. And, but they explained it. It was a clever way to give them that connection without mucking about with the timeline.
And I do appreciate, without meaning to, that they are about probably where we are in our watch, because you got to hear that apparently Harry Sullivan has a thing for River, I guess, or something.
There was some sort of alcohol something, yeah.
I think she may have hit him or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and this...
Harry Sullivan would totally have a thing for River Song, but not be able to form coherent sentences.
And would probably say something misogynist.
Maybe, yeah.
You're one tough bird there.
Yeah.
Because I think the challenge, not in a bad way, because it's River Song, so it's going to be about River Song. That's what she signed up for. But you have the Doctor, so he's going to have kind of a prominent role. And so they do split the characters, and so give them kind of their own stories.
In typical Doctor Who style.
That's not a complaint, but it was interesting. I don't know, what'd you think of how they handled the Doctor? You've only gotten one full series with him. I mean, you've seen a little bit, but what'd you think of how he was handled? And I heard you scoff during the extras when they're like, "Oh, he sounds just like he did," and you're like, "Ha!" Which I translated as like, "No, he's old."
Yeah, and he sounds old, and that was okay. And particularly, I guess, because Tom Baker is so ubiquitous, hearing him, I'm picturing old Tom Baker,
right?
And so that was a little strange, if that's not what they were going for. But I didn't find it jarring until I thought too hard about it. And then I was like, well, he's not the Doctor. He's an old guy. He's that caretaker at the museum. But I did picture him as old Doctor. But like I say, I didn't find it jarring at all.
Yeah, I did. I mean, because you have to think about think about the writing. You have to sort of capture that character, and you can do whatever you want, of course, if you're the writer. But you don't want to be too cartoony. It's kind of like Star Trek. Of course, the original series. You don't want to do a cartoon interpretation. If you know it, you know how to write it, but you don't want to do like, it's cartoony. Let's have Kirk make out and McCoy yell at Spock. Or, that's there, but that's not what it is. And so, how are you going to write the fourth Doctor? But I thought they did very well. He was sort of pretend to be foolish. He never really had his serious moment because he always pretends to be foolish, but of course he knows what he's doing. But that's whatever. I thought it was very well. Connecting with forget the woman's name that he connects with and who's memorized all the codes, who kind of becomes his mini companion, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was a little timey-wimey, but that was fine, I suppose.
Yep.
And this is sort of the ending, of course, with the Discordia and trying to make it a love story, which was fine. I'm trying to remember, the River narration kind of reminds me of her first appearance in the library, because she kind of does the narration for the two-parter there. So it kind of brings to mind that. But I don't know, what'd you think of how we got rid of the Discordia?
That worked for me completely. Mm-hmm. I wish that some of that world had been built more so throughout. Like the Emperor.
Yeah, because that's how I was thinking throughout the story, or at least the second half, that, this guy's obviously a conqueror, he's Caesar, he's whatever, Alexander, whatever, he's conquered the universe, and now he feels bad about it. I'm like, okay, well, now he's going to destroy his whole entire civilization. I'm like, well, okay, must have been a change of thought there.
But, there's that, and there's no mention of him like it feels mostly throughout this, particularly in the second episode, that it's just the one Discordia who has an army.
Yeah.
And he's the one destroying everybody. There's no mention of an emperor. There's no mention that everybody in Discordia does this. There's no mention that this Discordia guy, who is a relatively new Discordia guy anyway, is now all of a sudden in charge and able to destroy all these planets. And how does that work out? And now the emperor is here, and there's a picture, and so it makes it hard to feel those stakes when there's so little payoff.
And the beginning, which I didn't understand, but then you're not supposed to, and then you find out at the end what it is. But what threw me off about the beginning of this episode, where you find out ultimately that it's the Emperor and his consort. It's not that I'm the fan, but just because it's in my mind. It just seemed very Star Wars-y that it's Darth Vader and Leia at the beginning of episode 4, or the first Star Wars movie, depending on how you call it. Where he blows up Alderaan with the Death Star. It's just like, that's exactly, I don't know if they meant to, like, that's all I pictured. I'm like, there goes your planet. That's basically what happens in this one. And so I was thrown off. I'm like, why are we doing Star Wars?
Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's okay. That's okay. It worked for me, ultimately. Again, if I start poking at things...
and what did you think...
But if I just let it wash over me...
One thing I thought was interesting, in that creating this love story, they create 3 of them, which is purposeful, of course. But, I think it's nice to do in one episode where you have to create, you want to do a love story. I mean, it's more than that, but that's the setup. But you have, not that you know at the time, you have the Emperor and his consort, 1. Then you have the Doctor in River, 2. And then you have the general, creepy general in River, 3. And you kind of create this sort of, parallels, that's the right word. But anyway, but the different ways of looking at it. I thought what did you think of sort of the Discordia general in River? I thought it was very interesting. And I don't know if there's any commentary happening or just, maybe it needs to be said.
Ultimately, the general is Malik, right?
No, if I remember correctly, it's a little fuzzy, Malik is the main bad guy of this whole box set. And then he gets, blown up, I think. Remember when the head...
Oh, with the head.
And then the general comes in and doesn't save him. And, I'll take charge now because you're stupid. And then the general takes over as the new baddie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And see, that's silly. I think that I would have appreciated it more if it were Malik, because he'd been out on a date with River Song, and so there at least would have been something that paid off.
Yeah, this sort of because you really, I don't know. First, he just comes across as your sort of standard villainy, creepy guy, which whatever, I'll go with it. The sort of no, you will come to my kingdom below and be my queen, standard. It's standard.
And she's like, I'm not eating that pomegranate. Screw you.
But then it's revealed that all the Discordia have to take non-Discordia as their consorts and gene pool and blah, blah. And then I guess she's turned him on by being so hard to get, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not supposed to be good. So, but the whole, saying out loud, what we all know, but maybe it needs to be said out loud of, that's not how someone, you get someone to like you. She's like, yes, none of that's going to make me like you, that you have power.
And I destroyed this planet for you. No.
She's like, what do you expect to happen? Because nothing's happening right now, and it's not ever going to happen, and you can't force feelings. And I'm like, is there an audience that we need to be reaching out? I mean, evidently there is, based on things that happen in the world, but I don't know if there's...
I did appreciate the fact that for the Emperor to go back and get his consort, so for the Emperor to have his happy ending, River and the 4th Doctor have to lose theirs.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and which is weird. Well, it's different. I'll use that different word. Because, more or less, classic Doctors tend to be very asexual. And so we've only seen the one series, but I've seen enough that I'm pretty sure I've never seen the 4th Doctor be romantic. Maybe we'll find it and we'll stumble upon something. So that was different. which I know Tom Baker in The Extras was talking about that. Well, maybe we can explore this more, because I'm sure as an actor you'd like to play romance every now and then. I don't know, it depends how much you like that character or what you think that character is. But so it's unusual, I think, to have romance from a classic Doctor, but we get that here.
But again, one of the things that, and we talked about this when we were talking to Shar and the 10th Doctor, I still see it as romance with a capital R rather than romance with a little r. It didn't feel
like they were making out.
Yeah. Like he was like, oh, I'm going to miss you, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It was, we've had all these adventures. It just feels grand.
Yeah, it's such great memories.
Yeah. Capital R romance. And so, again, I don't see it. I mean, even the flirtation is almost stylized.
Yeah, and I think that the premise of this whole thing was that, we're going to get Tom Baker and Alex.
Yeah, Alex. That's all you need to know. I don't know. It's not coming to me. Kingston
together. And sparks will fly, because they're both crazy people. And I was like, I don't know if it really happened. I mean, I get that I would have thought that too. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get they're both sort of troublemakers. I mean, I don't know how Alex is in real life, but the character of River and the character of Tom Baker / the Doctor, you think, trouble there, and I was like, yeah, it's regular, I mean, we tried it. We all thought it was going to be something crazy. I mean, it was fine. It was fine.
Yeah. But they were also stuck in the confines of their story.
Yeah.
Which didn't help. It sounded like they've had some great adventures. I'd like to hear about those. Also, I think we should get River Song and the 11th Doctor together, because let's be honest, those were both some crazy kids.
All right. Well, what were your final thoughts about Series 4 of The Diary of River Song?
Yeah, I love Alex Kingston. I think she's great. She has a gorgeous voice. I could listen to her for a long time. Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I mostly enjoyed it. I almost feel like they could go episodic, honestly. They don't need to have a whole... Because I feel like, the Discord kind of got too much after a while. In other words, as in, they're so... Which I guess was the point. But they're so powerful. I'm like, I don't even know how you defeat them, You've made it too powerful.
Yeah.
So just a smaller day in the life, that would be fine for me.
Well, and it was also...
what does River do when she's not with the Doctor?
And it didn't have to be, in places it felt a little tenuous. Like the Whodunit.
Right.
The Whodunit would have been a great standalone episode of, I've gone into my own mind for this specific reason, but as part of this, it just didn't, it wasn't as great as I think it could have been.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, let's go into the TARDIS library.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
When you close your eyes,
I go to the library.
Go to the library now.
And now we're going to talk about the performance or production of Antigone, put on at the National Theatre in 2012. And among others, it starred Christopher Eccleston, the 9th Doctor, in the role of Creon, or King Creon, I suppose. Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor, as the titular character. And then another Doctor Who connection.
Yes.
As a member of the chorus, it was...
Alfred Enoch.
Yeah, so sort of a... Well, I don't know. This is, you're going to be your thing to talk about here. So I'll set the table here for those familiar or not familiar with Antigone, the Greek tragedy. But the director of this production sort of set it in a modern contemporary setting. The chorus was sort of they were sort of in an underground bunker, I guess following a war, and so the chorus was sort of the underlings of Creon there, at the staff of, if you will, of this general leader, whatever. And so that was sort of an interesting way, I thought, to use the chorus, because it all seems like, because I've seen, we went to, I'm sure you've been to many, Jessica, but I've only been to one production, the one we went to when we went to Fayetteville. So that was sort of a classical, if you will, production of Antigone. So the chorus, I always think of as the chorus, but this, had I not known, just seems like they just have a bunch of characters that say lines.
Yeah.
So I thought it was very well done, I suppose. I don't know how your strong feelings about maintaining a chorus.
No, not in any sort of real, everybody has to speak together kind of thing. And I'm actually utilizing the technique of chorus in a show I'm directing at the minute. When I did Antigone, because the idea of Antigone is societal rules versus
Legal
rules, yeah, military versus society and those sorts of things.
I'm reading a legal jurisprudential nerd book, so you could say positivist. Legal positivism. Positivism. I'm not saying that word.
Positivism.
Versus natural law. So natural law being wherever you think things come from, God or from nature. That there's natural law, or society's laws.
Right.
So there.
Yes. Yes. And so my chorus, and part of that was because of who auditioned. I had a bunch of young kids or young people audition, and so I cast them as school kids. Mm-hmm. I cast the chorus as school kids, and they were all in school uniforms. And at the start of it, we're very much, all put together and the ties done up and everything. And as the story progresses, the chorus becomes more and more disillusioned with Creon's rule, the rule of law. And so the ties get undone and the shirts come untucked. And so you can watch that breakdown throughout the chorus. Which I thought was genius, frankly. But yeah, the third of the Theban plays, my personal favorite.
Yeah. So, all right. So there's Oedipus Rex, and then there's the second. What's the second one?
Oedipus at Colonus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that where we get to see the brothers fighting?
No,
Okay.
You never get to see that. This is Greek.
Okay.
Darling, this is Greek. You never see deaths
Fighting.
on stage.
Okay. Well, because I just figured whatever the prequel to Antigone was, I just assumed it was the actual. But it's just sort of we're going to tell you what happened.
Pretty much. And again, I showed it. I had a scrim, and so I had the fight between the brothers behind the scrim at the beginning, and then I had Antigone and Haman's death also behind the scrim so that they could see it. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Well, just the second one I didn't ever hear anything about.
No, nobody ever does it.
Okay.
It's basically Oedipus alone on a mountain.
Okay.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, it's not, you get Oedipus, you get Antigone, you don't often get the middle one.
Well, what did you think of this production and the two performances in particular?
Yes. I don't know. And don't get me wrong, British theatre is one of my favorite things ever. But because British theatre is sometimes more stylized than American theatre, thinking about things like The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Night Time, where there's the devising and the moving around and everything's just slightly more stylized.
Okay.
It doesn't...
Versus a static stage.
Well, no. Versus a realism, kind of. I feel like...
Oh, because in American productions, because bigger is better, we want to show everything, we want to have everything, versus British, you're supposed to imagine.
Yes,
yeah.
and again, that's one of my favorite things about British theatre, but I think that sometimes it's easy to get, as performers, caught up in that and lose some of the realism and the emotion on it. And so that was my issue. I didn't feel like actors were pushed hard enough.
Okay. What'd you think of Chris in his Creon role?
Yeah, I think Chris Eccleston, in a lot of ways...
How working class did he make this general?
A little bit. But here's the thing about Creon, is that Creon is the...
He isn't a little bit... He is a little... You go ahead and interrupt you. Because he's not supposed to be royalish, right?
Well, because Creon wasn't supposed to be king.
Right.
Oedipus was king, and then it was going to go to one of the sons. Mm-hmm. And because everything went all tits up, now Creon's king. So
more man of the people-ish.
Yes, and I think that it was a role that fits Eccleston very well because of that. And you can sort of feel it. And I think that's part of Creon's tight grip on the law, is because he doesn't necessarily feel like he's the rightful person for the job, you know.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him in a way.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, in a lot of ways, because, I mean, he gives this big speech, more or less, at the beginning, where it's like, I'm going to be a king of the people. I'm with you. But I'm also no special interest, right? We're all in this together.
We all have the same rules.
Yeah, when I say something, I'm going to do it. There's not going to be any favoritism. You got to follow the law, I got to follow the law. And that's basically 3/4 of the play. Everyone's like, yeah, that's awesome. And then it's like, suddenly his family get involved about who gets to bury who. And then he's like, no, I'm sticking with what I said, because, everyone's the same. And then, 3/4 of the way, the chorus, representing, everyone, is like, nah, you should make an exception. And he's like, but, okay, really? I mean, it just seems very people.
Of course, that's not, first of all, it's not quite that sort of abrupt change. But it never, the chorus isn't saying make an exception because she's your niece. They're saying make an exception because you can understand her perspective of both sides. And, really we're going to execute a young girl. That's not okay.
I just feel like they turn really hard on him. They do.
He's
like, look, I mean, he's even, I don't know how the characters are, whether they're all supposed to be in the chorus, but he has an advisor. It's like, that's what I should do, right? Or that's what I'm going to do. And they're like, yeah, great idea, boss. Yes, man. And then 3/4 away, why'd you do that, boss? I'm like, what? Because you.
Well, and I think it's also a treatise or whatever on. It's really easy to make laws when you're not thinking about individuals. It's like the 3 strikes and you're out drug laws that we had in the
Californian
80s and 90s and those sorts of things. That sounds fantastic. Yes, war on drugs. Let's be tough on that. Realistically, though, you got a guy who got caught with a joint and is now doing 20 years in prison. And so that whole, yes, tough on crime, Creon, yes, tough on crime. But then when you start to see the real effects of it and the real circumstances of real people, it's not that Antigone was a traitor. It's not even that she supported the traitors, but she loved her brother. And, and so it's the difference between this is black and this is white, and actually there's some nuance that we did not consider, and maybe we should have done.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, what little I know, and what I saw that Chris did well, obviously it's a tragedy, and I'm sure he likes that.
Yeah, and Antigone's a little bit like Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar, the Shakespeare play, is not about Julius Caesar at all.
Right.
And Antigone, of course, is about...
I've never seen Julius Caesar, darling.
That's an inside joke that we are not going to talk about here. Of course, Antigone is very much about Antigone, but she's not the person who is...
She gives about 3 good speeches, and that's about all you see.
Well, she's just not the one that gets caught up on her own hubris kind of thing, like Oedipus does. It is Creon who ultimately is felled by his staunch adherents, yeah, and brought to task by exactly the same person Oedipus was, by Tiresias, the blind prophet, who may be a man, may be a woman, who knows? Tiresias apparently can
2 spirits, huh?
Yep, can go back and forth, yeah.
And so, how did you think Jodie fared in her brief appearance?
Yeah, not brief. Antigone's a main character.
Well, you just said.
She's just not one that falls. Yes, again, I wanted to see, because Antigone has just, the tragedy in Antigone's life is ridiculous. And so I want to see that. And I'm not sure I did quite as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, and I assume another attraction, for, not to get into his head, but that's what we do now in our house. To get into Eccleston's head, you have, obviously, Jodie, another Northerner. And so this is sort of, I mean, there's other actors, and I'm not remembering all their accents off the top of my head, but so you sort of have a Greek tragedy done in the Northern style. So
Absolutely. But again,
introducing those voices.
I love this show, and I think it is universal.
It's very, well, I was going to say it's very Shakespearean. You could say Shakespeare just stole from them.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, it's just, that's what it strikes me, because you sort of have, again, the Greeks created it, so let's just say it's very Greekian. But that.
Let's go with Grecian instead of Greekian.
It's not a vase.
Sure.
Or a vase.
Or an urn. What is wrong with you?
I don't know if they really earned it, but anyway. But having the sort of the tragedy, but then have sort of the comic character, which obviously Shakespeare would always steal. The guard character, who gives just sort of his rambly guard comic monologue. And then you sort of go back and forth from there. But yeah, you have this tragic romance. You have lots of killing yourselves, you know. 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
Antigone, the son, whose name I can't remember, and then the wife.
Yeah.
Creon's wife, Queen. I'm sure she has a name.
Yeah. My Creon was amazing.
Better than Eccleston.
He was just very good.
Okay.
Because again, he had that grief at the end of this just loss. He just did he turned in a fantastic performance.
Wait, does he kill himself at the end?
No.
Who kills him? Or he lives in...
He lives.
He just wander in the... What happens to him?
Now you're thinking of Oedipus. Yeah, I don't know.
He's just covered in blood and like, well, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Curtain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who's in charge of Thebes now is
Yeah.
Meanie, I assume. Which is great. Or Alfred Enoch.
Possibly. So, yeah, and of course we get Alfred Enoch, of course.
William Hartnell.
No. No, I'm blanking on his... William Russell.
Yes.
William Russell's son of First Doctor companionhood fame. And of course Alfred has his own career, not to define him by his parentage. He's had his own acting career, so...
Absolutely, and seems to be doing quite well with it.
So cheers to him. Well, we hope you enjoyed that. It's available to watch on the National Theatre at home. I believe it's still available to watch.
Yeah, watch all of them.
Yeah.
Watch all of them. Frankenstein was amazing.
Yeah, they still have Angels in America, or both parts, that we wanted to watch, and I think they had Medea on there, if I'm not mistaken.
I think
and
so too.
They had a bunch of stuff.
That's another one I'd like to play with.
So, well, until next time, continue enjoying the Doctor's many adventures throughout time and space.
This is BBC Television.